So the movie is The Instigators, an American heist comedy film by the director, Doug Liman, who did the Bourne movies with him. And once again, it'll be on Apple TV Plus next Friday, August 9th. Big-time movie star Matt Damon joining us on the program. I'm watching the Olympics. They're in Paris, and I keep thinking of the Bourne Identity, all the places that you were going through, all the action. I don't know, do you go back at some of these cities you're in where you filmed a movie and go, oh, yeah, I remember that?
Yeah, for sure. I drive my kids crazy. I took them to Paris once and just was pointing everything out, and they were just like, "Shut up." They're like, "We get it. You lived here."
Did you do that in Boston, though, when you're shooting a movie?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of that. I mean, I remember with my dad. This is 10 years ago. We went up for his birthday, and we all walked into Boston Commons, and we showed them the bench. They hadn't even seen Good Will Hunting at that point, but we sat on the bench and we took a picture as a family on that bench where Robin delivers that amazing monologue.
But at what point, like all your movies, your kids are good to watch all of them?
Yeah, if they want to. I have one daughter who's very resistant to watching anything she thinks might be good. So if she hears a movie isn't that good, she she watches it and then gives me a hard time about it. But yeah, I don't like have movie marathons and like force that on them.
You could punish them. Hey, instead of a
Yeah,
timeout, you go
right,
watch.
exactly.
Yeah, you're going
I
to
will
watch this
ground
movie.
you and make you watch every single one of my movies.
But isn't the director, is Doug, who did the Bourne movies, he's doing this
Yeah,
movie with you and Casey?
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And he was the first guy we went to because Doug, so he did the Born Identity, but he also did Swingers, Go, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Edge of Tomorrow. Like all of his movies are just so kind of tonally interesting and funny and entertaining, and so that's what this was. This is a comedy set in Boston, and it's kind of a heightened reality because it's a comedy, but it needs to feel grounded and needed to be really funny and fun, and so he was the first choice for it.
So there's going to be a couple of car chases, I'm going to guess, if Doug's doing this.
Absolutely. Well, if Doug's involved, there has to be a car chase. But what was fun about this one is it's like, we did the Jason Bourne car chase, and that's a character who he always knows where he's going. He's aggressively going at his next best option all the time. And like in this one, I'm playing a guy who's never committed a crime. He's never been in a car chase. And so it was a very different type of car chase, which was fun to do.
Your relationship with Casey Affleck as opposed to Ben, how different on set?
Well, Casey drives me crazy, and he always has. Casey's like my little brother. So when we were growing up, Casey's 5 years younger than me, so he was tagging along all the time when we were young. And then, when he graduated high school, he came out and lived with us, and we were all struggling actors together. And we've kind of been through all these phases. Now, for the last whatever 30 years or so, we've both been adults, and so our relationship, the nature of our relationship, definitely changed over those 3 decades. But he's incredibly tenacious and picky and opinionated, and so it makes. But because we've known each other for so long, we have a shorthand. So it's nice. You don't spend any time on diplomacy, on being overly kind to somebody. You just kind of solve the problems a little quicker, and that's great.
But
That's
is
how we
he
actually like to
playing
work.
himself in Good Will Hunting?
No, not at all. He's playing a kind of a heightened version of what we wrote in Good Will Hunting.
Okay.
He's like very kind of over the top, and no, he's not annoying in that way at all.
Instigators, Apple TV Plus this Friday, August 2nd, talking to Matt Damon. Are you guys doing the Fritz Peterson, Mike Kekich, wife swapping Yankee movie?
No, they had a script for that like 10 years ago that I
Uh,
that was pretty good, and a couple actors circled it, and then it never took off. But it's actually a good question. I wonder if we could revive it. It was actually a really well-written script. So I don't know. It never gained enough momentum to get it made.
God, it's so crazy. Like that'd be something you'd make up, and then if you said it's true, people would be like, "No, that's not." Wait, these teammates swapped wives and got
I know
married.
it. No, it's a totally crazy story. It literally we almost got a green light, I think twice with two different casts. I think Casey was looking at one of the roles for a while. I think Channing Tatum was looking at one of the roles for like it almost happened and then kind of faded.
Where were you when the Celtics won the title?
Oh man, where was I when the Celtics won the title? That's an excellent question. I was in my I was yeah, I was in my house. Jumping up and down. Kind of at times I get like I want to go to these events and I want to go to these games. I did go in 2018 to the Dodgers Red Sox to the final game, to game 6, as it turned out to be the final game. But more often than not, I like watching at home. I feel safer at home. I feel like I feel like I'm not going to jinx the team in any way if I'm just on my couch.
Yeah, but you're surrounded by women. So is anybody sharing in this glory with you?
They get into it for me, I feel like a lot of the time. You know, they let me, they kind of give me my space to kind of cheer on the Boston teams. And they know, and they've been to Boston enough to understand that we're not normal up there. So they're very tolerant of me.
But do you have friends in the neighborhood, like guys who could come over? Like, I'm worried that you're just alone in your man cave cheering.
Sometimes I am. I mean, in the Brady days when the kids were young, I would, we were living in LA and I would wake up, a lot of those games were 10 a.m. and I'd, make breakfast and, get the kids situated. And it's like, let's not talk to dad till 1.
You did the rugby movie Invictus. Do you know all the rules? Because we were watching yesterday, the women, they got the bronze, but are you?
Yeah, and they beat Australia, which is incredible.
Yes. But are you aware of all the rules right now with rugby?
No, absolutely not. And even when I did the movie, as many times they tried to explain it to me, it's basically a field position game. But I couldn't quite master it. And normally, you kind of do a lot of the stunts or the tackles or things like that. We realized really quickly with rugby, there was no way to guarantee, anybody's, because you go into one of those scrums and everyone's getting their faces cleated and if that happens to me, obviously the movie shuts down for 2 weeks. So pretty quickly Clint Eastwood was like, all right, so your stuntman's going to do everything, we're going to put you in for the close-up. So then I really didn't know anything about rugby.
But that's as jacked as you probably have been for a role, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably was 15 pounds heavier than I am now. But it was a specific type of work to get that 1994 rugby body. Yeah.
But it's gone. That's long gone.
Yeah. Well, it's tough to hold on to that. You got to eat it's a lot of chicken you got to eat to keep that extra muscle on.
All right. So explain, what's the plot for the Instigators?
All right. So the Instigators, it's a movie. It's like, Casey and I did Ocean's 11 together. Like these two guys could never make it on that crew. Like this is like the worst heist team you've ever seen. My character's never committed a crime before, but he's kind of forced into this heist because he needs money. And Casey's character is a kind of a career criminal who's just not very good at it. And so we try to pull off a heist and it goes about as well as you might imagine. And then we have to go on the run and we end up enlisting the help of my psychiatrist to go on the run with us. So that's basically the plot. It's a comedy. It moves very fast and hopefully it's a lot of fun.
Great to talk to you again. I always have to ask, any other Bourne movies?
I mean, I heard that they have a script that they're happy with, and if that's the case, then I'll get it hopefully in the next month or so. And I'm always open to it. I mean, I'm desperate for somebody to come up with a good idea. I love the character. Obviously, it changed the trajectory in my career, so I'm very grateful for the character, and I'd love to do it again.
I say this on the show all the time. I don't care where it is in the movie. If I'm flipping through, I don't care which one. I stop and I watch it. And I've watched it many, many times. So I'd love to get one more. Maybe you're semi-retired, or you're on a cruise ship or something.
Literally, there are 8 studio executives from Universal sitting forward in their chairs right now, waiting for you to finish that thought. If you can figure out a good way to do it, Dan, we're doing it.
Okay. Damn, that'd be great. Hey, great to talk to you. Good luck with the movie. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
All right. The Instigators, that'll be coming out in select theaters tomorrow. And I saw the trailer with Casey Affleck. Obviously, some car scenes, chases, be fun. And then Apple TV Plus next Friday, August 9th.